Good morning, YouTube. Just gonna make a quick video on my Mazda's car audio system. First thing is the head unit, and it is a JVC KW650 BT for Bluetooth. It is an Apple CarPlay and Android audio system. For the door speakers and the tweeters, I have Hertz Audio. I think it's K170 is the model number, but they come with these tweeters and then this 6 3/4 door speakers. Next we'll go to the trunk and we'll see what I have in there. In the trunk I have an Alpine Type R subwoofer in a sealed enclosure, Rockford Fosgate subwoofer amp, 500 watts by 1 channel. Love this thing. It's really clean sound. You know, it's nothing over the top. All right, coming to the engine bay. So this is where I have obviously my power running to the amp. And how I did it, if I can get this plastic piece off here. If you have a touring or a sport, you'll have a space here for accessories. If you have a Grand Touring, I think these will be taken up by various accessories in the car. But if you have a sport or a touring, you can use the factory distribution block that comes off the positive terminal of the battery. How I routed it, as you can see, I have my wire loom and all that stuff running up under the fuse box, over here, backing around, and then back through the firewall and down the driver's side of the car. Once I got it through, there's a rubber grommet in the back of the firewall. I put my cable through there, ran it down the inner footwell all the way to the trunk of the car. Didn't take me very long to do it. And then down the passenger side of the car, excuse me, is where I'm running the RCAs that plug into the back of the head unit for my signal. You want to run the power and the RCAs on opposite sides of the car so you don't get that ground loop interference. So, and if you don't know what ground loop interference is, it's basically if you run the power and the signal cable down the same side and they're next to each other, you'll get kind of this buzzing sound. And it'll mimic kind of like your engine speed. So as you accelerate, the buzzing gets a little bit louder. It's an annoyance, just to say the least. So run them on opposite sides of the car. As for how I did the tweeter install, like I said, I just modified the factory speaker grills and inserted the tweeters there, flush mount. As for what amp am I running for my components and stuff like that, not running an amp, I'm running it off the head unit itself. Kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So one of the things you should probably pay attention to, I shouldn't say, well, obviously your speaker preference is going to be personal choice. There are certain things that I think you should pay attention to. If you're going to run an amp, or maybe you're not going to run an amp for your door speakers and stuff like that. If you choose not to run an amp and you just run it off the head unit, or if you want to just upgrade your speakers with the factory head unit, one thing you'll have to pay attention to is I think it's the oh man, what is it called? I think is it SPL? It might be something like that, but it's measured in decibels. Typically you want it to be in the high 80s, maybe even the 90s. I think these for the hertz are like 93 decibel, and it's like and what that kind of means is when you are, geez, somebody's car is really loud and sounds like crap, but anyway, so basically you want to pay attention to that, because what that will signify is how efficient is that speaker. The higher the number is, like say in the 90s, your bass response might drop off just a little bit. However, it will play louder with less power. So you won't need as much wattage. Like this JVC head unit, I think puts out like 25 watts per channel. It doesn't sound like much, but if you sit in this car, it can get loud in here, and that's just with the head unit, even without the subwoofer. Bass response is pretty decent. One of the things that I tend to be able to get around as far as bass response, yes, I do have a subwoofer, but sometimes I turn the subwoofer all the way down, depending on the music I'm listening to or whatever. But when you're looking at a head unit, for example, and this is why I actually recommend replacing the factory head unit if you can, it's because you just get options to really tune your sound. What's going on here? So audio, so like here I can change my speaker crossover. Well, maybe I can't. I guess I have to have, let's see, I guess I got to be playing some kind of music. So let me turn that down so I don't get copyrighted or whatever. So here I can set my crossovers. So here, this allows you to tailor to, where are your speakers located, size of the car, because what that'll do is set the time alignment. And then I can go here to the crossover. As you can see, I got it actually, my high pass filter is actually set at 50 hertz. The frequency response to these speakers is something like, I want to say maybe 35 hertz. Now, normally you would want this at around 100. That means you don't want any frequencies lower than 100 hertz to play through these speakers. So here, I'm gonna change that back up to 90. And then for my subwoofer, I have a low pass filter. The low pass filter on this head unit, I have it set to go just to pass all frequencies, because the amp itself has a low pass filter itself. And what you don't want to do is set both. So just pick one or the other. So if you're gonna use the low pass frequency on the amp, which is what I recommend you do, you want to make sure the low pass frequency on your head unit, if it has that, you want to set that through. or to let all the frequencies pass through. So if you set both, what it'll do is let's say if you had it at, let's say 80 hertz, it'll basically double it. So it'll be 80 here, 80 on the amp, and then it'll have, so you basically double to 160. You don't want to do that. It'll kind of cut out on you. Just doesn't sound as good. So just set one or the other. I mean, there's people who have extreme sound systems in their cars. This is just something that I drive this car every day. I've got 167,000 miles on it, and I'm not trying to blow anybody's ears out, including my own. It's really easy to change out your head unit. Basically, to do that, all you would really need to do is pop this piece off. This is all one single piece. You would take this out. There's a couple screws back here. This pops out, in and out. If you use, I recommend you buy, go through Crutchfield. That's where I got all of my stuff. It'll have the adapters that you need. You can get steering wheel control adapters. That's extra. I did not do that, so I can't use my steering wheel controls. If you change out your factory head unit, you cannot use the wheel. That won't work anymore. For a while, I ran the factory head unit with just a subwoofer and, my components, and I thought I was good until I heard somebody with an aftermarket head unit, and I was like, oh no, I can't ride like this. I can't do this anymore. Aftermarket head unit makes a world of difference. I highly recommend it. There's a ton to choose from. JVC, don't be put off by, obviously the heavy hitters are like Pioneer, Alpine, etc., etc. This JVC unit cost me about $250, and it's got everything. I mean, like I said, I can set my crossovers through here. I have an EQ that I can use. I can adjust my subwoofer levels. Let's see, what else? I can adjust my seating position. You can adjust your, look at that. So here you can adjust your time alignment. Now it can automatically do this, or if you're just like a audiophile, you can do this yourself. So I really don't use any of this stuff, this sound effects like loudness, bass boost, all that stuff is turned off. If you buy good speakers and amplifiers and stuff like that, you really don't need to mess with the equalizer too much. Like if you look at my highs, they're actually turned down quite either flat or just slightly raised. I tend to focus more on the mid range because I like to hear the mid bass and when I'm listening to music, I like to hear the words. So getting a good set of speakers and kind of paying attention to that, I think maybe it's called the signal to noise ratio. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm having a brain fart, but I'll try to grab a screenshot of what I'm talking about and insert that in the video. Like I said, this is just real short, just going over my car audio setup. I love it. Sounds really good. It's well balanced. Oh, also, I mounted my subwoofer control. If your subwoofer or your amplifier comes with one, by all means, mount it and use it. I didn't use this for years. Left it in the box because I had a subwoofer control there. But this is way quicker to adjust, like right here on the fly, rather than having to go through the menus and adjust it there. So like I said, this video's been 14 minutes now. It's been too long. Hope you guys have a good weekend. If you got any questions, you know, leave them in the comments. I'll try to get back with you. You guys have a blessed day.